Hey everybody, it's Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong, and it's the next day. I should have started recording before I took the clips off. You know, this book was facing the other way. I don't want to turn this over, the outside is wet. But I had all of the fabric pages pulled up and clipped at the top. Well, the pages are fabric and paper. There's a lot of fabric in here. I used some texture paste. Where did it go? This Ranger, and honestly it's almost completely dried out. I had to add a little bit of water to get it workable again, and I used this stencil. Wow, it's cleaned up pretty good, I guess. I used this stencil to make a butterfly on the front, at the top and the bottom, these corners here. I guess I better get this out of here. I just realized, I thought it looked pretty clean, but few of the cutout places still have texture paste. I know better than that. This is called being in a hurry. The other day I said haste makes waste to someone, and they had never heard that before. Oh, some pieces fell into this, which is fine with me. That's okay. Maybe they'll stick there and stay. These are kind of rough butterflies. They're not smooth and perfect. I love this color. So I painted the front. You know, we had gesso, and I ended up with a little bit of purple in there from the stencil that I used, which there is a little bit of texture from that first stencil. I don't know if you can see it or not. You probably can't. I think I might have completely covered it up. Well, I don't know. There is some in there. So I want this to feel very layered. Even if something kind of disappears, I think it adds to the overall quality as you keep adding layers. But I used this lid that I kept knocking around on the floor with my foot last night. So I have the Art Smith titanium white. I put quite a bit in here. You know, maybe like a tablespoon or more. And then I added just one drop of the Harvest Green because I did not want this to turn yellow. I didn't even want it to turn gold. I wanted just enough color to make this not be white. And it ended up just perfect. So I want to try to remember that. Actually, I don't know if I want these things in here or not. Let's brush over that again. See if we can get some of those out. I'm just looking. It's a little bit too much debris, but you know who you're dealing with. I didn't even think, as I was cleaning out the stencil, that it was going to end up on this book cover there. That's okay. But I'm going to be doing more with this today. I've got some other things to work on at the moment, so this is going to be here drying. I just wanted to start this video by showing you this beautiful color and how we got it. And honestly, I'm probably going to add another layer, so maybe I can show that on camera. The table is set up, and I've already got one piece of paper out here drying. I've got another piece on this little tray. This actually came from a National Geographic set for kids, and it was my first foray into making paper, which was amazing because it taught me a lot about just the process. I hope I've dried this off enough. There's a frame that goes around it, and you remove that after you fill this up with the paper, the water and the pulp and everything. Hang on, it is sticking a little bit. Let me see if I can, I don't know if I can set this camera where you can see what's happening. I should have dried it off a little more. But so far, it's sticking to the frame pretty good. We did lose a little corner. Let me see. There. So unfortunately, this piece has got some wrinkles in it, but it's going to be okay. It'll be textured. And next time I'll dry it a little more. They have these very particular fabric pieces that you use to get the water out. It doesn't stick to the paper pulp. But I will be making more paper, and you'll definitely see this later when it's dry. This was in the flowers that I bought recently when I found just a whole
slew of flower petals. And I think this is going to be very pretty glued on the front.
Okay, so I have paper drying outside on my new table. We had some rain last night, which really helped with the pollen, and so it was a lot cleaner out there this morning. I wiped the table down, and I've got some pieces that I probably want to use some of it in this book, and I love the way this is turning out. So there is still a little bit damp out here because I added that beautiful paint that I made. But I wanted to show you, I know I mentioned yesterday that this is going to be able to fold and curve a little bit. And that makes it feel more full. When it was standing up completely, tall and straight, it made it feel like there wasn't quite enough in the book. I went ahead and glued this beautiful flower on the front. That came with, I know you probably all remember the flower petals that I found. I have some bags of these that I'm going to sell. I can't remember how many I have, but they're going to go in the shop. I've got to start putting things in the shop. Yeah, I'll have to look and see how many I have of these. I do love the butterflies out here. I may end up putting some sort of image out here. So we've been working so much on family history. Jason and I, of course, we're not related. We are bound because of our commitment to each other, but he's working on his family tree. I'm working on mine. There are some gorgeous pictures on both his tree and mine, and even my ex-husband. There are some beautiful pictures in his family. Of course, they would be related to my children. So I don't know. I'm thinking it would be so nice to get an old picture with the beautiful sepia color and include that. I don't want to put color in this. I want it to all be that old, white, off-white. So I'm currently working on this page. I had this beautiful piece of paper. I think this came from the Dollar Tree in one of the paper packs. I love those paper packs. You might get a little stack of a lot of the same thing, but it's fun. It's fun. Somebody asked on a recent video, what do you do with it? Well, you can do so many things with it. You can punch out shapes. You can use it to make pockets. In my case, I sometimes tear it up and blend it with my white paper to get some extra fibers in the paper that I make. So this, let's see, I'm gonna probably add more before I glue this down. And I'm doing sewing on these individual sort of collage type things before I put them in here. And a lot of these probably will end up being glued down with tacky glue because this book is rigid. I can't take this back to the sewing machine. Now that I've glued the signatures in, I can't take it back to the sewing machine unless I'm doing just an edge trim. But here's one of the really pretty flowers that was already glued together. And then I found this portion of a flower, which seems to be, it's almost like a netting. I wonder if you can see that. So I'm going to sew one of these beautiful buttons that I recently found right in the center, and then we will probably glue this somewhere. I'm thinking it would be pretty right there on the front. So let's see, do I have a needle and thread? Once again, I'm getting reacquainted with everything out here. I've had a lot of things inside over the winter, and I've brought most of them back out. I have been working at Joann's for the last year and a half, which started out just part-time, and then many of you know I just moved up and loved it, and I wouldn't trade it. It's been wonderful. But now I'm back here and I'm trying to find everything again. Let's see if this will work. This is sort of a thick thread. This is what I'm using in the machine right now to sew these different pages I'm putting in. So let's double this. The button is, what is that hooked on? There we go. The button is fairly heavy, so I want something that I know is going to hold. Oops, hello. See if I can get that knot. doubled, but get it in the right place. There, that's perfect. And now we will just sew this button on here, and that's going to make, that's also going to hold all these layers together. Like I said, that first bottom part, and since it's got the glue, it's not going to be so easy to push that needle through. But I think since we have this heavy thread and it's doubled, we're not going to have to make too many passes. Ow. Not going to have to make too many passes with the needle to get it to stay. So let's just get this started. And that went through easy enough. Here we go. I like that. Okay, now, see what I'm doing here. Well, on that side, I really picked a spot that's hard to push through, but that's okay. We've got it. I'm trying to get into my routine, being here all the time and working here. I'm trying to get myself somewhat of a schedule because it's easy for me to get sidetracked and go off on some tangent, which that's productive too, honestly. But if you're going to have a business and keep at it, you got to have a schedule. I mean, there has to be some accountability to myself with what I'm doing with my time every day. And there are other things as well that I want to get done here. I really have been thinking about getting chickens, but I don't know yet. I know my grandsons, they all would love it. They would absolutely love it. I know that we would love the eggs. I'm going to have to get some sort of coop and a fenced in area, you know, so that the owls and the hawks and the whatever else is out here. I know we have raccoons, and I don't know if they will bother them or not, but I would have to get a setup for that. I also need to get in my garden. I want to grow greens, salad greens. That's my big thing. I want to focus on that. And I do love having tomatoes. And I would love to have cucumbers this year. I would also love to have some butternut squash. Last year I planted way too late, and then the bugs like squash bugs or whatever, got into the butternut squash. I had a beautiful one growing. It even had a fruit on it. And then next thing you know, something is in the stem near the ground and it just died. Does anybody know what to use? I know you can buy all different things, you know, 7 Dust or whatever. I don't want to get into anything toxic, but the natural method here has not worked. Of course, I'm not really using anything, so maybe, anyway, I'm rambling too much. There's a lot I want to do. That's all I was trying to say with all of that. I'm also thinking in this book, you know, I just don't know what to do. It would be pretty to put family pictures throughout this, to print them out on, you know, distressed paper, and to have their names in here. That would definitely be a keepsake. That would be amazing. This is off of a blouse that I loved. It finally wore out. We have some pockets here. We're going to do some distressing on this page. I found a new container of butterscotch alcohol ink yesterday for 50 cents. So that was a good find. What a pretty color. I love that. So that's where I am right now. Just wanted to check in. I will definitely keep working on this, and I will show you the progress